And this idea where if it wasn't for me, they would have got zero. Brother, it's like you're telling them, take the scraps you got and be happy. Hey, everybody, welcome back. So that's it, official. The Amherstburg bottling plant for Crown Royal is now officially closed. And that's it. Most of the workers have been relocated to other jobs, like, for example, Chrysler in Windsor, even though I don't know how stable that's going to be. About 6 of them have still yet to be placed in a new position or a new job. So 6 of them are going to be worrying about paying the bills, keeping up with, rising costs. They got no job. One gentleman's been there for 23 years. That's a good portion of your working career. And they just let him go. So he's pissed. All of them are pissed. Like, I understand. Like, I've been laid off. You know exactly what they're feeling. But the response from Doug Ford and the local MPP is not good. It just shows the constituents that they didn't really care. There was nothing they could have done, and they should be grateful for what they're able to. Basically, Doug Ford's response was, be grateful for what I gave you guys in terms of the deal, which the deal was not a good deal. We're going to go over that again. Not a good deal from Amherstburg or the workers of the bottling plant. Good for Toronto, good for the rest of Ontario, but not Amherstburg. So let's take a look at the response from some of these employees and the response from Doug Ford and the local MPP.
As the shift at Diageo's bottling plant in Amherstburg came to a close, the scene was of sadness and anger. Anger not just directed at a company that was shutting down a decades-old employer in the community, but also at a government they feel had let them down by making a $23 million deal with Diageo.
I am so disappointed. This area voted for Doug Ford, a conservative, and I would tell everybody, I will never vote conservative again.
This is a prime example of why the polls are showing an increased support for the Liberals and decreased support for the PC party, Doug Ford's party. People are kind of waking up to the reality of Doug Ford and his inability to deliver on any of his promises. It's sheer luck of some of the things that he's brought forward, but the decisions he's made, a lot of them, and I've said this before, are all emotions and not based on reality. Like even the decision to say he was going to fight for these guys and take the Crown Royal off the shelves of LCBO. You can't do that. This is not an American brand. They're not. It's not a bottle. It's not a spirit made in the U.S. Distilled in Manitoba, grains sourced from Manitoba and provinces around, surrounding provinces. He was gonna hurt other Canadian jobs, and that's why he had to backtrack and take a shitty deal from Diageo. But there's more.
Provincial votes in Amherstburg that helped to elect MPP Anthony Liardi. Despite multiple attempts, Liardi has yet to respond to our request to hear from him about it, even when confronted in person.
It's $23 million. So. What's that? Are you gonna come? Sorry, what did you say? What about today? We've been trying to get a hold of you.
Last summer.
Oh man, someone needs to talk to this MPP. Dude, you had weeks, months to prepare multiple different statements for any possible questions that you may be asked by reporters to address your constituents, the locals who voted for you. And that's all you have. Maybe next time and another time. It was a simple question. The $23 million deal from Diageo. You know why he had nothing? Because it wasn't a good deal. He knows it wasn't a good deal. But even then, as a politician, the guys, like I've heard statements that show more respect than what he gave. I know he can't say anything to make it better for these workers, but you got to show some sort of empathy, some sort of like you're doing something, that you're trying for these people, and he just walked away. Why would they want to vote for you and your party again when this is what they're going to receive?
Premier Doug Ford poured out a bottle of Crown Royal, threatening to pull it and the company's other well-known products off of LCBO shelves if Diageo didn't capitulate and keep the facility running. Earlier this month, the government announced it had secured $23 million from the company in new investments that, quote, otherwise would not have happened had the government not stood firm to protect Ontario workers. But the spirits are staying on the shelves, and workers here were not protected.
I'm looking in the camera right now. I stood with you, Doug, in Brampton. You told me man to man that the day I walked out of here, being the last person, you were going to pull it off the shelf. As far as I'm concerned, I held up my end of the bargain and you didn't.
End of the money, $500,000 is going to invest Windsor-Essex to support economic development with a focus on Amherstburg, and according to the government, another $500,000, it says, will support other community projects in the community.
This community is going to get...
Let me, this guy's going to say exactly what I'm going to say, but let me give more context to this, okay? Let me show you exactly what the deal entailed, okay? Okay. Like they stated, $500,000 to Windsor-Essex for economic development and $500,000 for other community projects to support residents of Amherstburg. That second $500,000, community center, parks, something, right? Or whatnot. Like the gentleman's going to say maybe a charity. $500,000 for economic development. They're going to use it for like training. Are they going to use it to put infrastructure in for other corporations to maybe bring in their businesses? $500,000 is nothing for infrastructure. Okay, training. I don't know what $500,000 is going to do for training, but they're basically getting $1 million. That's not really going to impact the workers of the bottling plants. Where the rest of the other 23 or $22 million go? Okay, let's see. 11 million to invest to purchase grain, natural spirits manufactured by Greenfield Global in Johnstown. Agriculture doesn't help those workers. Nothing with Amherstburg. 3 million to invest in ready-made drinks, beverages such as Crown Royal, Smirnoff, and Captain Morgan, canned beverages through a Toronto-based co-packer to supply the Canadian market. Benefit Toronto. 1 million in direct funding to organizations that support the growth and sustainability of Ontario's agricultural sector. Not Amherstburg. 2 million investment in new packaging for pre-mixed beverages through a new co-manufacturer in Scarborough. Not Amherstburg, Scarborough, just outside of Toronto. 5 million in Ontario-based marketing and promotions. Toronto. Where do you think this marketing and promotion firm is going to be? In Toronto. Where's the bulk of sales for drinks? Toronto, the GTA, the Horseshoe. Okay? So they're going to be spending money on a marketing firm, which is going to be based in Toronto, and marketing around the Horseshoe and the GTA, which is going to be benefiting, again, those local communities and those cities and those companies. Not Amherstburg. Their $1 million that they're going to get of the 23, and it's not even benefiting the workers Amherstburg. They got screwed. Do you understand why they're upset?
This community is going to get $500,000 maybe, and it's not going to go to the community. It'll probably go to some charity. I don't know, but these are my personal opinions, and it's disgusting.
You could have sent that money down here and at least got them benefits.
Following our encounter today, Liardi's office did say he would have more to say on the matter, but at a later date. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
The Premier isn't happy about criticism from the union repping those workers about that multi-million-dollar deal. Here's Ford at a Thursday press conference.
In Amherstburg, the union there is really upset. They say that they don't believe your government tried hard enough to change the tide there, that you were more focused in investments in other parts of the province.
Well, I totally disagree. I'm going to have to give the guy down in Unifor a call because we're committing over $1 million. But by the way, if I didn't do anything, they'd get this, zero. I fought like hell and we're getting $23 million off Diageo. That would have never, ever happened. And they're closing the plant 2 days earlier, but they're getting paid, their employees. A lot of them are heading south down to Stellantis, but I think half of them have been employed down there. And I think there's 60 left that haven't been employed. We're going to make sure that we put it at the top of the list on our economic development strategy to attract companies down there to open up and be very supportive of the community. We're also, as a government, going to go in there and find out what do they need. Do they need a community center? What do they need? So we're supporting them in a massive, massive way. But I promise you, I'm going to call head of Unifor. No one fought harder in this entire country for their members than I did.
Okay, listen. First, I want to address the how the workers. Some of the workers were upset that they closed the plant 2 days earlier, and they were, even though they're getting paid for the last 2 days, they're upset. You know why they're upset, and I can understand. Even though, who cares? I wouldn't care, but I can relate. I can empathize with them. They didn't know what was going on. They're losing their job, and there's so many things out of their control that this one extra thing that came out of left field, because they didn't explain to them, oh, we're going to close it 2 days. They just said, we're done. We're shutting down 2 days earlier. It just shows that there's things still not, they don't have control. And as a human being, when there's already stress, when you don't know what your next job's going to be, how you're going to pay your bills, when money runs out, it adds to the stress. And that's why they were upset. This idea that we're going to find out what they need, a community center. They don't need a community center. They need jobs. Jobs create taxes where then the community could get to build their own community center. A community center is not going to give them jobs. Not the jobs that they had there in terms of well-paying. And this idea where if it wasn't for me, they would have got zero. Brother, it's like you're telling them, take the scraps you got and be happy. Of the 23 million, they're getting $1 million. And of that 1 million is really not benefiting the workers of the bottling plant. So who are you to tell them that if it wasn't for me, you would have got nothing? They did get nothing. They got nothing. Nothing. And you saying, be happy with what I got. You, Toronto, Scarborough, the GTA, the Horseshoe, benefited more from that $23 million than the workers in Amherstburg. You had no plan. You couldn't win this fight. You knew that. But of course you, stubborn like a bull, wouldn't listen to anybody. And you wrote a check your ass couldn't cash. This idea that he was going to take the bottles, Crown Royal, off the shelves was a joke from day one. It would hurt other Canadian jobs. That's why he folded. That's why Diageo promised this money, which probably they were going to spend anyway. And that's the disappointing thing about this deal. It sucked, and they probably were going to spend it anyways. So Diageo won tenfold. And this is why Doug Ford is not doing well in the polls. They're doing better still than the Liberals, but they've lost 9 points. 7 or 9 points, I can't remember. But their poll numbers are going down. Liberal poll numbers are going up because everybody's realizing that Doug Ford is all smoke and mirrors. He's not delivering. You put a poll, like literally, I'm talking about stick, in his place, and things would still run smoothly without him. I understand the disappointment in these workers, and they have every right to be upset. But they should also understand that Doug Ford had no power to save your jobs. He really didn't. He shouldn't have promised that. And that's, I think, deep down inside, that's why they're upset. Because he gave them false hope. And never give somebody false hope. Like, I'm not telling you to be like tell the truth, but don't promise them something you know you can't deliver. As a good leader, he should never have done that. And he's gonna suffer for this. His party's gonna suffer for this, because this is not the only thing that people are upset about. His accomplishments are not coming about. Disappointments over and over again. And come the next election, he won't be in power anymore. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I wish all those workers the best of luck. Hope you guys can get a job sooner than later, so you don't have to worry about your bills. Anyways, guys, take care. We'll talk later.